Hi there, Virginia here with another episode of My Life as a. Today is a little bit different because I'm going to be talking to you about myself. So you probably know me as the Information Services Librarian. You maybe know me from the programs that I run or the videos that I've made, or you've seen me in the library on the service desk. And some of you might know this or have guessed this, and some of you maybe don't, but I am legally blind. So what this means is that my vision is 20 over 200. Legally blind is 20 over 200 or greater. The normal vision, you've probably heard, is 20 over 20. Some people are greater or less than that. I think the cutoff for driving is 20 over 60, I want to say. So you have to have 20 over 60 or 20 over 40, something like that, for driving in at least one of your eyes. So I don't have a driver's license. And so I have an inherited retinal disease. I was born with this condition. However, my vision didn't progress to the point of legally blind until a few years ago. So I did live most of my life as low vision, but not considered legally blind. And this is pretty common for people with inherited retinal diseases like my own. So maybe you know somebody with something called retinitis pigmentosa. That is a kind of inherited retinal disease. It's not the kind that I have. It's the most common, retinitis pigmentosa is the most common inherited retinal disease. The kind that I have is affects about 1 in 35,000 is the estimate. So there's different kinds of blindness. So some people have blindness because of an eye injury. Some people have blindness because of diabetic eye disease, retinitis pigmentosa. I think age-related macular degeneration can cause blindness. So there's a bunch of different reasons people can be blind, and because of that, there's a bunch of different ways that blind people see. So there is a bit of a misperception or misconception that if somebody is blind, they only see black. That is really rarely the case. Most blind people have some usable vision. For some people, it may be seeing shadows or changes in light. For someone like me, I actually have quite a bit of usable vision. And then some people might see a little bit differently in different lights. For some people who are blind, they don't have peripheral vision, so they see sort of tunnel vision because they only have their central vision. For some people like me, I have poor central vision, but pretty good peripheral vision. So there's two kinds of light receptor cells in your eyes. There are cones and rods. Cones work on your central vision. They help you perceive faces. They help you see in bright light. Your rods, and also cones also help with color vision. Your rods are typically kick on or turn on when it's dim out, and they are also your peripheral vision. So for somebody with retinitis pigmentosa, it's their rods that are affected, and for someone like me, it's my cones that are affected. And then for other eye diseases, it could be their retina, it could be their optic nerve, it could be their lens. So any different part of the eye could be affected in blindness, and that will result in different levels of blindness, different ways that someone sees. So there is no complete what does a blind person see like, because it really just depends on what their condition is and what system in their eye is affected. So for me, like I said, I have a hard time, it's my cones that are affected, so I have a hard time seeing color. I have a hard time seeing in bright sunlight, so when I'm outside in the bright sunlight, it's very, very hard for me to see. I'm very nearsighted, so I have to be close to objects to see them or to read. I need a big text to be able to read the text. A lot of times people will say, make it brighter so you can see. That doesn't necessarily help me. I actually have some light sensitivity, so sometimes it can feel a little bit like when you turn on the light in the middle of the night and it's really bright and your eyes are sensitive. I get that sometimes in the sunlight. And so when I'm out and about walking around, I use a white cane because that helps me, helps other people identify me as someone that can't see very well. It also helps me when I'm crossing the street so that cars can tell that they need to be more careful. And it helps me so that I don't trip on anything, and people can, be aware of my situation and kind of step out of the way. And that makes things a lot safer for everybody, so I'm not running into cars or people or dogs or tripping over chunks in the sidewalk or anything like that. I have a very full independent life, so a lot of people think maybe that if you're blind you can't participate in activities. I ride horses, and that's something that I've done my whole life. Other people who are blind, they hike, they ride bicycles, there's a really big competitive judo. For blind people, there's competitive judo that's really big. If you've ever seen the Paralympics, there are a lot of different blind sports in the Paralympics, archery. So really blind people can do almost everything that other people do. We just might need a little bit adaptations. So one of the adaptations that I use are these special glasses. So these are tinted rose tinted glasses, and they provide me with some contrast. So they make it sharper for me to read when I'm reading on the computer or reading a book. And they also make it a little bit dimmer, so when I'm in a bright sunlight, it's a little bit like wearing sunglasses, but less severe. So if I'm inside and there's a lot of sunlight coming in, it helps a little bit with that, and I can see faces a little bit easier. Another adaptation that I use is my white cane. So when I'm out and about, when I'm in bright sunlight especially, that helps a lot. As I said, it helps me navigate things and makes other people aware of my situation. But I also make, the print large on my screen when I'm doing my computer work. Something I might use in the future is talk to text or speech to text. Magnifying glasses, I use those. So different things to kind of just make things a little bit easier for me to see. And these are pretty common tools that blind people use. One of the biggest issues, or one of the biggest struggles that blind people have is mobility. So obviously, if you can't get a driver's license, that's an issue. There are a lot of services that allow blind people to live independently. So something like the Quinty Access Bus, for example, is really important for people with disabilities. Many different disabilities, not just blindness. And another big issue for people in the blindness community, not me obviously because I have a job, but is employment. So the employment rate, so the rate of people who are employed that don't have disabilities, is about 78%. It might be a little bit different right now because of the pandemic, but roughly 78%. The employment rate for people who are visually impaired is about 38%. So 38% of people who are visually impaired have a job. So, we can do almost anything that everybody else can do. We just, for a lot of people, it just comes down to having a chance to show that they can do those skills, or that they have those skills. So I hope that you've maybe learned a little bit today, and maybe you have a greater understanding of what it's like to live as a visually impaired person. If you would like to get involved in My Life As you can always send us an email, or you can get in touch with us on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. If you want to send an email, just send an email to infoserve@bellevillelibrary.ca, and we'll get back to you. All right, so thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks. Bye.